Carol Miller. Remember to state your address, your name. There you go, thank you.
My name is Carol Miller. My address is 2517 Orion Trail, Green Bay, Wisconsin. I taught at Preble High School for 18 years and continued on a few more years to help direct the musicals and the spring plays. So 20 years total at Preble High School. I'm here to just give a tribute to Alex Pretti. Alex was in the musicals and the spring plays that I directed, assisted directed, and directed. And the one thing that really stood out to me about Alex was the fact that he was the personification of kindness. Sometimes when you have a senior, you might get a senior who likes to push around the underclassmen, maybe tease them or taunt them, or not maybe feel them welcome. But that was not Alex. Alex was totally the opposite of that. He went out of his way to welcome the freshmen and the sophomores to the theater program, to make them feel that their contributions to the productions were very important. And I think that was something that he probably portrayed in his adult life, being full of kindness and care for the veterans that he nursed. The other thing I would like to think is that Alex probably made some of those veterans smile with his wit and his charm. And one of the things that he always did was brighten everyone's day with a joke or a witty comment. And I can see him doing that with the veterans as well, just to see a smile put back on their faces. He led and he mentored with care and compassion, and he was just a very good person. And we will also always value his leadership and spread some of the kindness that he gave to others. And that's the ripple effect. And I think that's where his legacy therein lies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sue McAllister.
I am also here to speak about Alex. My name is Susan McAllister. My address is 2921 Bay Settlement Road, Green Bay, Wisconsin. I taught in the Green Bay schools from 1972 to 2007. 23 of those years, the last 23 years of my career, were at Preble High School. Alex Pretti was a student of mine in the music program at Preble from 2003 to 2006. Alex had an engaging and friendly personality. He was smart, well-liked, respectful, had a great sense of humor, and was unfailingly kind. He had a beautiful voice and was a leader in chamber choir, show choir, madrigal singers, vocal jazz choir, and in the school musicals and plays. I can vividly see him in my mind, standing in the bass section, right in front of me, second row, encouraging the young men around him with his quiet leadership skills. I also can hear his full, boisterous laugh. He had the knack for knowing when and how to break the ice during some pretty rigorous rehearsal moments at just the right time to reinvigorate the choir or the cast. Alex was the guy who took the underclassmen under his wing, mentored them, accepted them as an important part of the choir or the cast, and consequently gave them confidence in themselves. I quote from one of these young men who posted this about Alex. This was a freshman, Michael Brand. Alex was a senior. In a long post, I pulled out this quote from Michael. Quote, "He was generous with his time, welcoming by nature, and the kind of person who made you feel included without trying. He deserved to grow older, to keep showing up for people the way he did for me," unquote. That was Alex. As a music teacher, it is a great privilege to work with students for multiple years. We get to know these young people in their most formative years. I remember parents saying to me, "Mrs. Mack, you've seen my kid a whole lot more than I see him these days." We see them in their academic choir during the day, rehearsals after school, rehearsals in the evening. We travel with them on weekends. We go away for trips. We really get to know these kids. And as any teacher knows, you love your students. And once they're your kid, they're always your kid. It's 19 years later that I'm saying this about Alex. My heart is broken over Alex's death. And of course, like everyone else, I am deeply angry. But I am also so proud of the young man I knew, who then went to spend his adult life in a caring profession and gave the ultimate sacrifice in the act of helping others. There was a tribute on Facebook from a student who had no idea about Alex, graduated in the late 90s. But I felt this was a tribute not only to Alex, but to our schools and to teachers. Libby Flynn, and this is what she said. "When you are educated by kind, smart, compassionate, funny, empathetic teachers, coaches, and directors, you don't just learn hard skills like phonics and algebra and physics. You learn to be a good human being, the kind of human being who does the right thing under difficult circumstances without hesitation, just like Alex did." Thank you.
Thank you. Travis Vandenhoel.
Good evening. Travis Vandenhoel, 515 Meadow Lane. Not the first one to try to get this to stay up and fail, aren't I? Alex was a childhood friend of mine, and have a lot of fond memories, time spent with Alex. And when I was asked to come here and share about him, I thought about what that might look like, and channeling Alex and who I knew, I'm going to say we as a district should be incredibly proud of this young man and who we as a community, as a school district, helped to raise. And up until the time he died, he was a helper. He was kindness incarnate. The other thing I think Alex would want me to convey is a thank you to you all, to his teachers who helped form him, and for the service that you guys continued to provide the children and the staff and faculty in this district. So on behalf of Alex, my sympathies. We lost a former student and alum, and thank you.
Thank you. Carrie Green.
I'm Carrie Green, and I live at 202 East Mission Road, and I'm a proud parent of 3 graduates of this district, Webster, Washington, and East. I'm going to speak for myself, but then I also have some notes from a retired teacher who could not be here tonight from the district, but she was very compelled to share her reflection of Alex. First of all, I'm here tonight because I want to honor Mike and Sue Pretti, Alex's parents. to let everyone know that Alex was indeed a good man, and that's what they asked for in their statement. Let everyone know that Alex was a good man. Alex was a longtime member of the Green Bay Boy Choir while I was an associate director with the choir. I knew him to be a fine singer, a fine friend, and kind to all. And the thing that has been most comforting are the tributes that have poured in from his fellow treble singers and his fellow boy choir singers. And I would like to reflect on the theme that they have all resounded, and that is the theme of kindness. Alex was kind to me. He was kind to everyone. He was kind to the new kids. He was kind to the kids who were left out. I'd like to quote one of his friends. He's a Preble grad, and he was also a longtime Green Bay Boy Choir member, Josh Atkins. Josh gave a stunningly beautiful interview today to honor Alex. And he said, Alex influenced him in so many ways, but he was definitely the best of us. He was the best of us. And he also reflected on the fact that Alex was so kind and giving to everyone. And Josh said, kindness can be such a revolutionary act. And I agree with Josh. And Josh is a high school teacher in Grafton. So we can be proud of that also. I'd just like us to endeavor to be the beacon of kindness that is revolutionary, to honor such a good man, and to let the world know that Alex Pretti walked among us, sang among us, shared life among us, and we will continue to honor him all the days of our lives. Now I have a reflection from Susan Carlson, who was a retired teacher from East High School. And Susan writes, our current federal administration has a diabolical playbook. First, they assassinate a good person, and then they assassinate his character. It's positively shameful. While I can do nothing to bring Alex back to life, I can do my part to stifle the second death by speaking the truth about his character. Alex was my student when he was in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. But because he was in my daughter's class, I knew him from kindergarten on up. He was a great student and incredibly funny. He had a comedian's sense of humor, perfectly timed remarks delivered at exactly the right moment, and we'd all dissolve into laughter and then move on with the lesson without missing a beat. Above all, though, Alex was innately helpful. He had a knack for seeing what someone needed and helped, and he'd just jump in to provide that help without ever even being asked. Sue says, when I'd ask for help with something, Alex would volunteer before I'd even finished explaining what I needed help with. And I would ask, would someone please? And he'd say, I'll do it. And I'd say, you don't even know what I need help with. And Alex would smile and say, it doesn't matter. I'm not at all surprised by the man Alex became. At his core, Alex was a helper. I'm not at all surprised that he became a nurse. I'm not at all surprised that he worked with veterans. I'm not one bit surprised that his final act on earth was to help a woman who had been viciously thrown to the ground, and that his last words were, "Are you okay?" Because all of that is completely in line with who Alex was. So he was not a domestic terrorist. We will not let them control the narrative. We will not let them gaslight us into believing this was anything but what we can see with our own eyes that it was, the vicious murder of a beautiful soul who just wanted to help. Rest in power, Alex. We love you.
Thank you. Next, Mark Becker.
Thank you, everyone. So I represent the Green Bay Boy Choir. I don't represent, but I sang it in there for years.
Can you say your?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
address,
Mark
please?
Becker, 707 Covered Wagon Trail.
Thank you.
But even from the Boy Choir on, all these decades later, if Ms. Green asks you to do something, you show up. And so I've been very hesitant to say anything about this because of a couple different reasons. The first is my well-refined Catholic guilt tells me that I didn't know him as well as others, and there's people that have grief much deeper than my own. And the second is I also learned this weekend that because of some of my civic involvement, if I say something, sometimes my words travel further than I would like them to. And I made a post that kind of went viral, and I was contacted by every news station in the area, but I never talked to them because I knew that ultimately they would want to say, well, we'll hear from both sides. And there's no both sides of this. There's one side of what happened, and it's the side we can see with our eyes. But Alex was someone that we sang with, and Travis too. And he was someone that always was helping the little kids, the Green Bay Boy Choir. To understand what that means, you have to understand how tight-knit of a group it was. And we would rehearse at St. Norbert Abbey for hours upon hours every single week. We would go on trips, and this was before, you have communication in your pocket. And so parents had to talk to other parents, and children had to talk to other children, and we were a really tight-knit community. And so when something like this happens, to borrow a phrase from Star Wars, it's kind of like a disturbance in the Force. And, I grieve, of course, for Alex because what happened to him was unjustifiable. But I grieve for the community because this was not just an attack on him, and of course it was, but we all lost on Saturday, whether you knew him or whether you didn't. I'm fortunate enough to know him. But what happened to him, to honor his parents' wishes, he was murdered. And we can't stray away from that. And it's awesome to hear who he was growing up and being the kid that would take care of the little ones as they were just coming into the boy choir, and he would give them a home and help them feel seen. To it, just like the last person said, is no surprise that he grew up to take care of our veterans, and his last act was one of courage and one of selflessness. And I think we could all take a page out of that book. Miss McAllister, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for everyone, and be more like him. Thank you.
Thank you.